This is the 146th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first week of August 2013. This episode is titled Cast Marker. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, Cloud Computing Experts. I am your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me for the 146th time on the podcast is Justin Edelstein.
What an intro.
Yeah, whatever.
Thanks.
It's a Friday.
It is Friday. It's Friday afternoon, as a matter of fact.
I wonder if you could track our podcast and what we sound like and what we say based on the days of the week.
Yeah. I feel like we're happier at this time of the day than any other day. Friday afternoon.
I'm tired.
Yeah. I'm tired, admittedly.
Yes.
I could take a nap right now.
You probably
I wish
could.
we were podcasting on hammocks.
Or
Little clouds.
little cloud hammocks. Well, we
Yeah.
do have two
Little
beanbags.
beanbag
We
chairs.
could grab the
Why
beanbags
did we
from
not
the other
do that?
room.
We have podcasted from beanbag chairs
Yes, we
at
have.
Dreamforce
At
in
Dreamforce.
the past. Those cloud things that they would throw all over the place. We've done that before.
Speaking of Dreamforce, if I
Speaking
wanted to
of-
register today
Yeah.
and get a discount,
Go
could I do
on.
that?
You could. You could go to dreamforce.com. You can register. And as you go through the registration process, at the middle end where you get to pay, it asks you if you have a promo code. And we are here to provide you with that promo code D13MVPREF. So D13MVPREF will save you $100 off of your Dreamforce registration. What's that price up to these days?
I don't know. I think it's either
Oh, I thought you
$7.99.
were kind of going to dreamforce.com
Nope.
while I was doing that little
Nope.
spiel. All right, I will go to dreamforce.com as I talk over my browser loading to dreamforce.com, and I will see what the price is. I imagine that it's still not at its most expensive, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, a client of ours, about why they should go. So register now. It still says save $400, which expires September 10th. So I guess September 10th is when the super price is going to go up.
Yeah.
But if you register by September 10th, it's now $1,099. So if you use our promo code, you can get it down to $999. So
It's getting up
it's
there.
getting up there.
This thing
It's
started
gone
at
up.
$4.99.
That's why you got to register early. I mean, if you know you're going to go, you better register.
Yeah, register early.
So use our promo code and get $100 off. It'll get it under $1,000, which looks better than $9.99. Looks a lot better than $1,099.
That's true. All right. Well, we have, other than that, we have an agenda. We have our blog post of the week talking about managing sales and with chatter and tasks. We have some news from the Google, a new product which has been picked and purchased by one of us. We have the Cloud Canon, which I don't know much about, but you're going to let me know, and then we'll talk about it. And then we have some Benioff news. Benioff and Microsoft sitting in a tree, PISSING all over each other. I don't know.
I feel like it's just a Benioff thing.
It's probably a Benioff thing. And then we'll do our CloudFocus app pick of the week, which I just remembered what mine was. I have another one, but I've somehow let it go. And I actually have two updates.
You're picking that? What you just wrote in there?
Yes, the one that goes on the thing.
Oh, I don't want you to pick that.
Why?
Because I don't want you to give that away.
That works the way it works?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't do it.
Why?
Because then you're cutting into... All right, whatever. We'll talk
Cutting
about
into
it.
what? All right, let's go. Stay
People don't
tuned for
even know
that
it.
conversation.
Podcast teaser.
Oh.
All right,
yeah,
let's talk about the blog post. The blog post of we're actually going back
way back.
a little ways back 2 weeks ago, because we put out the paperless one to talk about during our paperless podcast. I
Wow.
almost tripped up
I
like
love
you.
You just messed up.
You trip up all the time, and I
Blog post.
correct you
Blog
constantly.
post podcast.
So
blog post podcast.
now we're going to go back 2 weeks ago where we published a blog post by the partner who shall remain nameless about how to manage sales using both chatter and tasks. And this is meant to be a kind of like here's how you might want to go about mixing these two worlds. You've got tasks that are good for certain things, like reminding you to do follow-ups, putting in a very structured way the fact that you've done something, like logging a call or sent an email, and then also reminding you with pop-ups and things of that nature to follow up at a certain date and time, whereas Chatter's more collaborative in nature and can, as he put it, sort of I don't want to say supplant, but in a way replace like a weekly sales meeting or call, because everyone can be on the same page using the narrative of Chatter, and it gives you more of a idea of the flow and how things are going, as opposed to tasks, which are just things that you need to do to push the thing along.
Right.
So
You don't collaborate around tasks as
they're
much
very
as
hard to do.
Right. You collaborate around Chatter, and Chatter has all sorts of abilities. I was actually showing a client the other day using Chatter for sales, and I was showing the Chatter list view. So I said I built all opportunities closing in the next 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
So open, but close date next 60 days. And then I said, oh, and look, click here and show the Chatter view. And so this will give you a quick view of what's going on those. As well as actually showing forecasting, which I've actually enabled and showed for 3 clients in the last week. It's been my week of forecasting, and really interesting. Like when I show it, I mean, there's a lot of ooh, wow, a lot of confusion, but then a lot of ooh,
it's
that's
a busy
interesting.
Screen.
It is, and it's really powerful. The more I use it, and we use it internally, obviously, clearly, to manage our sales, but then the more I help other clients use it and use the new version, the collaborative, whatever they're calling it, collaborative forecasting, the more I realize how powerful it is, and especially seeing it in seeing with different in the hierarchy, so you can see your people underneath and drilling in. Really, really cool stuff. So I love it when it's something that has been around that I use, but then I start to show other people and I learn more about it as I show it to them and their use case. And forecasting is certainly one of those.
I have
so
lots
is Chatter.
of those. I have lots of those Chatter list views saved as searches. So when I go to my Chatter tab, I can just hit that list, hit the next list, hit the next list.
Yep.
Because we're constantly doing updates on all sorts of records and objects inside of Salesforce. So I have a lot of those saved ones to prevent me from having overflow in my Chatter tab.
Still have the thing, and I wish, we're going to little deep dive or rat hole on the Chatter, still has the feeling of needing the ability to dig in on a time period, right? Because everything I do is basically time period based, and so I would like the ability to say, give me all the Chatter on these objects in this last period of time, not of the object time, but of the Chatter time, because I'd like to be able to kind of catch up or not catch up, or be able to that sort of unread red state. I don't know if I've seen this stuff or not. If there's a lot of Chatter, you can get kind of lost in it. Lost in Chatter.
Lost in the Chatter.
So go to blog.arkusinc.com and read up on managing sales with Chatter and tasks. Again, the man who shall not be named, I guess we know he's a man now, got big into tasks.
Oh, yeah.
Went big into tasks recently. And so this is a sort of a coming-of-age film about a man finding tasks. So go there and read up on it. Next up, which I think this is news that was broken to me by another person in the office, comes into my office and says, "Did you hear about the new Chromecast?" I'm like, "No." He said, Google it. I'm like, all right, I will Google it.
Google it.
So then the next day I went in and I was reading Zeit, and of course every other article was talking about it. I was like, okay, it came out yesterday. It's like the guy told me 2 hours after it came out, and I'm supposed to know what it is. But so Google released if you have not been reading up on it, Google coming off sort of the failures of 2 of their TV products. They had Google TV, which is, as far as I know, it's pretty much a failure. I don't know anybody uses it. Don't know anybody bought it. They don't care about it.
That other thing, that little sphere,
the Nexus,
thing.
The Nexus box or cube or Nexus sphere or something.
It was like a ball.
Yeah,
it looked like our snowball, our microphone.
But they never launched it.
It was too expensive. It was like $300,
and it didn't do anything. So they learned their lesson. They killed off. They know they killed off the sphere, and then they came back and they released basically out of nowhere, without anybody really kind of having any foreshadowing of it coming. They released Chromecast, which is a small, I'm going to call it a dongle.
That's what I was going to say. I want to call it a dongle.
It is. It's a small HDMI dongle. You stick it into one of your many HDMI ports of your TV, and then you can using
power it with the USB.
You can, or HDMI. If you have an HDMI, I think 1.4 and above, it will power, self-power,
okay.
which is nice. So then you then can stream things to it. So unlike Apple TV, which has its own interface and you can go find things, this thing is sort of built into the app that you're using, like Chrome or Netflix. When you're watching Netflix on your iPad or Nexus or whatever, you'll see a little button that says send to Chromecast. And then it basically sends the stream to Chromecast, kind of like AirPlay.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is Chromecast then takes over. So then you can shut down or move off of or move away, and you're not actually pushing your screen. It's taking over the stream there. So then you can go off and do whatever you want on your iPad. It's still streaming there. So it's kind of like a combination of AirPlay and Apple TV. But the kicker is it's $35.
$35.
That's
out of
it.
the box. It's got a small little group of things that actually work with it for now. Netflix, mobile apps, YouTube mobile apps, and the websites of both. And then a lot, as you would expect, like Google Play Movies and TV and Google Play Music. But it also works with Chrome, so you can push Chrome, whatever you're looking at in Chrome,
In beta.
Up to the Chromecast, and supposedly that is a little herky at the moment, but it's in beta. And they're also working on supposedly both HBO Go and Hulu Plus.
Oh, Hulu Plus. Those would be two
which
big
would
ones.
be big ones to get up there.
So
So for $35, I mean,
But
just the
here's-
ability to push stuff from your device to the TV, and it just, it's like this tiny little thing that just sticks in the back of the TV. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, so someone who has
deal.
actually traveled with their Apple TV because I wanted that ability, and you want the ability, A, to either push stuff, or B, to have it as its own thing. I think that's where it's kind of caught in this little world, and I think the price is what makes it just, who cares, because you just $35, whatever. But I like on Apple TV how it's its own device. It can do its own thing. You can purchase it. You don't have to have any other devices around it. You just use it by itself. That's nice. And Apple AirPlay works with anything that's on iOS. So anything you can AirPlay directly to Apple TV.
If you have the newest Apple TV.
If you have the newest Apple TV. Well, yes, but if you have the newest Chromecast, then whatever. But it's not application specific.
I have an Apple TV, and I can't do that. I can't mirror to my Apple TV.
I understand, but that's the device. That's not the OS. The Chromecast is based on applications. So like right now, if I wanted to put my GarageBand on AirPlay it to Apple TV behind me, I could.
Right.
Because it's built in and everything that's on the iOS. That being said, it's its own device. It's bigger, needs its own power, cords, whatever, and it's $99, and it's only iOS or Mac ecosystem. So
or iTunes.
Well, but no, because you can't.
Yes.
You can't.
From what I understand, and I don't know, I'm
Okay.
not a PC user, but I read a little bit about it.
You've met one.
You can, if you're watching a movie in iTunes on your PC, you can push that up.
Okay, you could push it from iTunes. So again,
From
still
iTunes, it's an Apple
in the
thing.
Apple world.
Right.
This breaks that. So if you're an Android user or whatever, but it puts it back away from the OS to the apps. So then, if let's say your favorite podcast maker wanted to push that onto the Chromecast, you couldn't do it unless the podcast maker built that into their app, built this protocol, the handshake, whatever.
Right.
So cool. I mean, again, if it were $99, I go, no, too limited, but $35 and tiny, I'm like, yeah, I might take that with
Worth
me.
a try.
I might bring it into the office here and put it in the thing
we should
behind
definitely
me.
test it on the TV we have behind us.
And the nice thing about the being powered by USB is that a lot of TVs now have USB in them, meaning
Right.
this one has two USB slots on the side of it.
I never understood why. Now I do.
It's not for power. It's
Well,
to
it can be.
connect up to, but that's the thing. They'll tell you that in like hotels, if you don't have a charger or can't find, you like go find the USB in the back of the TVs. So it kind of comes with its own power, which I think is cool. Still has the limitations. I'm more excited about the kind of pushing of Chrome because I want to use it for fantasy sports and viewing of a fantasy sports page and having that being pushed on the Chrome browser and not having to have my laptop open with that thing sitting there the whole time.
Right.
So that's what I'm excited about. But ordered, it sold out immediately on Amazon. Don't even know when they're going to ship the next versions. But you can't get it.
Don't even know if there will be next versions.
Might not even
It
be
is
a
Google, remember.
It is but $35, it's a really great. And obviously they took the lessons learned of Google TV, Nexus, and all
I wonder
that.
where they're even making any money on these things if they're only
They did. No, they
$35.
said they are making money. It's literally a little. It's the OS from Chrome, which is interesting. Not
It's not Android.
Android, yeah. It's like or maybe it's the Google TV OS, not Android. Another big article, which we don't have in here, was about how Google is thinking about sort of moving away from Android a little bit because they're having a tough time and moving more towards Chrome OS because they're having a tough time controlling it, and it's kind of gone wild. Anyway, that's a different article. But Chromecast, so you haven't bought one?
No, I did not. I'm going to look at yours, wait for you to beta test it for me,
Right.
see if I like it, see if there's a need for it. It sounds like a really good traveling device
Yeah.
for me. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
you
use
have
it.
Apple TV, you
I
have
two
Roku.
Apple TVs, one in
yeah.
each room. I have a Roku and I don't need it anywhere in my house, but it would, if it's this tiny and I'm holding up my hand, then it sounds like a great thing to travel with. I've never traveled with an Apple TV. I don't feel like carrying that thing. I don't feel like unplugging it from all my, everywhere else I have it set up to just bring with me. And then I got to carry an HDMI cord and all this other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just have this little dongle I can plug into a TV in a hotel room, and then instead of watching stuff on my iPad, I can just pump it right up to the TV, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play with yours and see how it goes.
Excellent. Speaking of playing with mine,
I don't think so.
no. Tell me about this Cloud Canon thing that you added to our agenda, which I have not seen ever. I don't even know what it is.
I was reading TechCrunch just before we went on the podcast just to see if there was anything out there that I had missed throughout the week. And I saw this interesting article about a product called Cloud Canon. And the headline says, Cloud Canon turns any static website into an editable Dropbox-based CMS. So we talked a few weeks back, 3 weeks ago maybe, about Dropbox enabling more APIs and allowing developers to do more with Dropbox as kind of a cloud syncing application service. The folks at Cloud Canon have designed a CMS, basically, that allows you to take a static HTML website, drop it into a Dropbox folder, enable it as a Cloud Canon website from there, and then, permission it, give out permissions for people to log into it so that they can then, all you gotta do is add like one tag to each div within your HTML and allow called editable. And then Cloud Canon understands that when an admin user logs into the website, they can just edit those sections, those divs. So like if a header or a paragraph of content. So it just takes this static HTML and turns it into a CMS, leveraging the power of Dropbox to host it and do all of the syncing back and forth, because the files are being saved on the Dropbox and then they're served up immediately on the web. They described it kind of like, think of like how Foursquare works. Or not
Foursquare?
Squarespace. Okay. Thank you.
So not the social networking check-in thing, but the
Squarespace,
website.
The website CMS hoster thing, and doing all this just on Dropbox. They have some pricing out, basic $5 a month for one website. I feel like that's pretty cheap, and
you you can do custom domains.
Yeah, the demo that they showed, they were using like the Cloud Canon domain. Didn't dig in like 100% because literally this article was just written. But I did watch the video. It looked pretty impressive from the 3-minute demo video, and interesting enough to bring up because it's somebody using that Dropbox API to write an application and allow a web designer to design a website, drop it on someone's Dropbox, and then boom, you have your like CMS.
Yeah.
Like you can just have someone just drag the files into the Dropbox and done. Make the sections that they want editable, and there it is.
And then how are they adding new content, new pages?
I don't know. I haven't used it. I'm just mentioning it as an interesting use of, and I believe you would add it as you would do any static web page, right? The CMS portion is more like you can edit content within blocks.
Meaning going in, double-clicking on something, and editing it, hitting save.
Yeah. And then
saving
saves
back to
it
Dropbox.
Back to Dropbox. And then it's served up immediately on the web.
I see. Okay. All right. I mean,
I'm sure it's not the greatest, like, it's not like it's not going to go replace Drupal. It's not going to go replace Plone. It's not going to go replace Squarespace. It's not going to replace WordPress, but it's a very interesting use of something that we just talked about a few weeks back.
Yeah.
In that Dropbox Cloud API to really run an app on Dropbox.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I mean, this is an interesting take on it. I think there's so much more to come on it, on what you can do with the Dropbox API. As an old school web guy, it just brings up tons of questions, but I'm sure it's been well thought out. And actually, I'd like to, when we get off the podcast, I will watch the video.
It's pretty interesting.
I will watch the video.
Yeah.
Speaking of videos that I'd like to surface, see what I did there? Next article is Salesforce.com CEO Mark Benioff mocks Microsoft Surface. So a couple weeks ago, Microsoft did their announcement of their earnings and announced that they took a massive hit on their Surfaces. Their Surfaces to plural.
There's like a apostrophe somewhere in
There's
there.
something. Can I Google it? And so I guess this article, which I'd read somewhere, but I hadn't read the full article, that Mark Benioff takes a little stab at them, which is sort of like his way of just getting in the news. I feel like he has it on his calendar.
Pokes and prods.
He has a repeating task. He has a repeating task that says,
poke Microsoft.
Let's
poke,
see.
Poke SAP today.
Poke SAP. So what was the actual quote?
The reason why they're not accelerating growth is for one simple reason, Benioff told the New York Times in an article breaking down Microsoft's quest to keep Windows relevant in the tablet era. There's a better technology.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're certainly struggling.
And Salesforce isn't really supporting, like native mobile SDKs for Windows phones and tablets.
No Salesforce
like
Classic for Windows?
No Salesforce Classic for Windows. They've basically said what we're doing for cross-platform devices is supporting regular native web with HTML5. So if you want to develop something on the Windows tablet or Windows Surface or Windows Mobile, there's HTML5.
Oof.
Enjoy.
Yeah. That's I mean, as we all know, like HTML5 stuff can be very, very good, but
it's not the native stuff. Like, it's not native. Native is good. Native's cool.
Well, I it's funny because the new Chatter app came out, and I've been using Touch, like testing Touch.
I do not like Touch, for the record.
Well, it just feels pokey.
It's too slow.
Yeah, it's pokey. It's like, and I have high-speed internet wherever I am, and I feel like if I'm...
It also crashes often.
Well, crashing is no good. Well, it crashes your browser then.
No, I'm using the Touch app.
Oh, the Touch app. So, it crashes then a virtualized browser.
Well, hey, it's an app that I've opened that crashed.
I'm
just a silly sales guy. That's all I know.
Silly? Is that what we're saying? That's silly sales?
That's the
silly
word.
sales guy?
Silly.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he likes to make these headlines, but eventually I feel like, Benioff, you are these companies, and if anybody wanted to, they could easily go and say something, relatively same about you.
People should. Why shouldn't they? That's just his personality and his attitude. It's the way he does it.
We made a comment, and this won't be this podcast, but I might throw it out there. We talked about being sort of the Salesforce insiders that we are. And at this point, I feel like we are kind of Salesforce insiders. Doing sort of like what do we call it? Like not an eat your own dog food or a drink your own champagne or a state of the state because I think we've come up with lots of examples where Salesforce will say one thing as a marketing message and then will kind of not do that thing in its real life practices. And we were trying to think about how we would build that into a good podcast episode that maybe, we would talk about, and as a helpful thing, or I don't know, venting, or I don't know what it is.
Send us some feedback if you want to hear that.
The thing is, we recorded it. We just haven't put it out there. No, it's not true.
Tweet
we
us.
Recorded it.
Let us
tweet
know.
at us. All right. Well, let's get to the most important thing ever, which is us picking our picks. I have a pick, and I have 2 pick updates, by the way. So I want to
update.
I have updates. Because I think it's important. I mean, unlike you, who just picked something and then you've never used.
That's not true. I picked something this week that I used just yesterday.
I want to pick something that I use a lot, and then if I actually keep using it, I want to then tell people about it in advance. So I have 2 things that I've picked before that I want to come back and talk about. So go ahead. You make your pick, which I use.
You use this too?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. So I'm picking Roku for the iOS. And it's called Roku, but really it's Roku Remote. Like, it's not like you can watch your Roku on this app. It's more for navigating around the Roku. And anyone who has a Roku, which we've talked at length about.
Tell me what a Roku is.
Oh, it's kind of like an Apple TV, but it's not. It's a Roku. It's a box that you connect. We just talked about Chromecast. It's a box you connect to your television, and it allows you to sign into and use applications to watch streaming video and audio. So it's got Hulu Plus, HBO Go, Netflix, Amazon, a bunch of streaming music stuff like Pandora, amongst others that I don't use.
So I know I made one of you. I think I made the Roku a pick almost a year ago. So
I bought one.
You bought one. You still use it.
I got it as a gift, actually.
Yeah.
I got it because it had HBO Go on it.
Right, which now Apple TV does.
Apple TV has it. So I have HBO Go on both devices in my living room. But it also has the Amazon video or Amazon Instant Video, which Apple TV does not have. So it still has one or a few things that the Apple TV doesn't have. Crackle, for example. Jerry Seinfeld has a new original show. It's on Crackle.
You're kidding.
I'm not.
That's funny.
It's called Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee.
So just for
it's like a video podcast, but it's 18 minutes
Since
long.
I know you're a new Amazon Prime member.
I am.
Recently,
I just signed up.
And so I know you've been watching Amazon Prime videos on the Roku, and this is why this probably came up.
Yes, it is.
Let me remind you that there is a Amazon Instant Video app for the iPad.
Yes.
That allows you to do the same thing.
Yes.
That's cool too.
I have it already.
Cool.
It is cool. So the reason why I picked this was because
16 picks,
the Roku changed their interface around a month ago, something like that. And I don't like it. I thought it was a lot easier to get around the Roku before with the Roku Remote. The Roku Remote also has hot buttons for things that they think you'll use very often. So there's a Netflix button on the remote for no apparent reason except for the fact that they feel like Netflix is probably one of the things you're going to use more often than anything. Well, the reason why I'm picking this application for your iPhone is because it has buttons for all those things.
Right.
And I feel like that's the easiest way to get around the Roku is to just pick the channel, as they call it, the application that you want to go into. So, instead of scrolling around and using the arrows and finding the Amazon Instant Video channel, you just click the Amazon Instant Video channel and boom, you're in. And then you can search using a real keyboard as opposed to
So do you go inside the app and then search?
I do.
Did you know that if you search, one of Roku's big advantages is that if you search at the top level of Roku, it searches across all your
that's
channels?
Pretty cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the pro tip.
Boom, blew your mind.
Pro tip.
So if you went in and for example, if you went in and searched for, let's say, Breaking Bad, it would then come across any of your channels that had Breaking Bad.
You know what I'm really glad about, just as a side topic, because you guys, everyone who's listening knows we love streaming TV. We're going to do a streaming TV episode, I feel.
What does that mean?
It means our best top 10 shows to go back and watch on streaming
that you can
to
get
catch
to
up
now.
on now. Yeah. That you may or may not have heard.
And if you're not using Fan, what it used to be called Fan Hat, it's now called Fan, you should be using Fan for the...
I used Fan the other day because Netflix... I've been catching up and binge watching on Fringe.
Yes.
And it ends at season 4 on Netflix.
Yes.
So then I'm like, there's one more season. Season 5. There's 13 more episodes. And where are they? So I go into Fan and I look. I'm like, it's It's on Amazon Instant Video. Fantastic. So I pop open the Roku, and I'm like, oh, it's not free. I have to buy it.
Right.
I was like, I don't like that because a lot of stuff's free, but then sometimes you have to buy it.
Right. You probably
So
had
I
the first
decided
4
to-
seasons for free.
Yeah, the first 4 were free. So it was just like Netflix. So I'm like, oh, I could buy this on iTunes. I could buy this on Amazon. So then I was sort of weighing the pros and cons, and I was going to wait. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll wait. And then I got an email from Netflix yesterday. Fringe Season 5 now available. I'm like,
Oh, you're kidding. You almost bought it.
Oh, I was so close to buying it. And I was like, ooh, thank you, Netflix. That's really good on Netflix because I can't imagine you got that email. But they must have realized that I had been binge watching Fringe and got to the end of Season 4. And they were like, hey, Justin, wouldn't you like to watch Season 5? It is now available. Did you get that email? Because I'm sure Fringe Season 5 isn't like the hot email to send out to everybody.
But I also turn off almost all my stuff from all my services, so it's possible I don't get any emails.
I just don't feel like that's an email that would go out to just anybody, right? That's really good on
really
Netflix's
smart.
part.
Yeah.
But anyway, my pick is Roku because I really like
iOS.
I really like the interface of, I use remote for my Apple TV. I don't use the Apple TV remote. I use the remote app on the phone. So this is basically the same thing, just for Roku. I feel like they're better interfaces than the physical remotes on the touch screen. You can do a lot more with it.
Yeah, they are. They're usually not as fast because you're basically sending a command through wireless.
Yeah.
So it seems a little bit delayed. But
just the typing is just
where it brings
the killer app for it.
So I have 1 pick and 2 updates. So my 2 updates are quick just because I've been using them a lot and I wanted to talk about them. Ooh, 3 updates.
3?
3 updates.
Okay.
One is we picked the Wemo
We did.
a long time ago because we were given Wemos,
We were.
right? And so we picked Wemos. Wemos
Correct.
are the made by, is it Belkin?
Belkin is the
Yeah,
company.
so they
yes.
make this device that you plug into your power, and then you plug something into it, and then you can control it from you can put timers on it, and then you can control it from your from your smartphone, basically. Very cool. But at the time, they said that they would then release next summer, which has now happened, the Wemo light switch. So it's a light switch. You replace your light switch, and then it becomes a Wemo switch, meaning you can then control it, timers, all that, see if it's on from afar. So that actually has been released. I've ordered 2.
Cool. All right.
And they're on the way, and I'll install them. You can come in and play
I will
them.
play around with them
Play
and
with
see
them.
if I want them. I do not really use too many light switches in our apartment because we have a lot of lamps.
Yeah.
They're not
But
on
my
the
lamps are
switches.
connected to things that are turned on with the switch.
Yeah, mine are not.
Okay.
Speaking of the Wemo, I'll just throw a plug in there for the Wemo. So I bought a Wemo for my parents who have a cabin up in the woods,
Cabin in
in
the
the
woods.
mountains, and there's a pellet stove in this house. I'm calling it a cabin, it's a house. And the pellet stove's electric.
Right.
So the idea is, and I haven't tested this yet, but I'm thinking it's going to work. So you have to plug the pellet stove into an electrical outlet.
Right.
Now in the winter, it gets really cold. It's like negative degrees up there.
Of course.
You get to the house, it's freezing because you
It
don't
takes
keep the heat on.
It takes like hours to heat up.
Hours to heat up. Like they turn the heat up,
And
and
they go
then
for
they
dinner.
go out for dinner, and they
Yeah.
come back, it's still cold.
Right.
So I got him a Wemo to plug the pellet stove into
Right.
and keep it off. And then before he leaves the house to drive up there from here in New York,
Right.
turn it on.
Right. And you can
And that
visually
should-
see that it turns on.
Right.
And
that should turn the pellet stove on
Yep.
and heat the house up for them by the time they get there.
That is correct.
So that is hopeful. I'm hopeful that will turn out
I have
well
so many
and
things.
not burn the house down.
I have so many things. I have one that I funded the other day that I will make a pick when it comes and I test it. I think it's supposed to ship in June 2014.
Oh,
a
that's
really
not
great one.
that's not far away.
Yeah, it's not far away at all. All right, so my other pick, so that was my one update. So the switches are available. They're on Amazon. They haven't shipped yet, so I think they just became available.
Mm-hmm.
But then the idea is you then throw those in. They become part of your remote. You can control them, put on timers, whatever. I mean, the nice thing is you can literally just, if it's a switch, then you can control whatever that thing is connected to with your phone. So it's kind of cool. The other thing is the Paper Karma, which I picked last week.
Yeah, you just picked that.
I've been using it a ton though, like literally hitting a bunch, and I've been noticing. I've been using it for weeks.
Have you been getting a decrease in spam mail?
Decrease in spam mail, significant. I've been feeling it, and the ones
I've
got to
really go with this now.
And then the last one is I think I picked this as part of last week's too, this Fujitsu SnapScan IX500.
Yeah.
Today or yesterday, they released an update to the software that now makes it completely wireless, meaning you can have it anywhere and wirelessly scan to your computer. It doesn't have to be connected via USB.
Don't have to connect at all. You just walk over to the scanner, pop it in, hit go, and then boom, it just shows up on your computer somewhere.
Which means it doesn't have to be connected via
within
USB.
The Fujitsu software.
Yeah, in the Fujitsu software.
Right.
But anyway, that update came yesterday. So if you were even thinking about it, it's an even better reason. You can still do it by the...
I think someone asked you about it after that episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, someone asked if that was a good one
on Twitter.
Yep. All right, then my pick of the week...
Oh, well, thank you. Why don't you get
I thought about maybe an episode
How
where...
about let's not, and you just pick your real pick?
No, I'm saying
I don't really like the fact that you're picking this.
Why? Can you tell me why? Try to talk me out of it before I pick it.
Well, I can't explain it because then you have to pick it first, so then I can explain why I don't like you doing it.
But is it something that I promised I would do? Is it something
nothing that you promised? Nothing at all. Go ahead and pick it, then I'll explain why. I'll give everybody a good reason to download it too. So go ahead.
So I, as you know, am a big fan of the sports, and I go on a lot of road games and of the sport that I like, and I'm also a big fan of Passbook, right?
Yeah, we both like the Passbook.
So the other day,
we were wrong about Passbook. At first, we didn't like it.
At first, it's come around. So the other day, I'm headed down to the Bucks versus Dolphins Monday Nighter in Tampa Bay in October. And I went to buy the tickets. I went to buy them through the Bucks website. So go to Bucks. I went on eBay and all these other places, and it's just like the prices were crazy. So
Bucks don't sell out. You can buy on the website.
So you just go. So let me see if I can just get the regular tickets. Well, of course, most or all NFL teams, I think, are funded by or back-ended by Ticketmaster. So I go in and I do the Ticketmaster thing. And the Ticketmaster basically, and I'm picking the iOS version of this, but the experience of picking it online where they actually show you the exact seats and you click seat 1, seat 2, and you can see it exactly where it is was amazing, especially for someone who's like me, who's very picky, like don't want to be too far in the middle or whatever. You get to see exactly where it was. It was great. So then at the end, they're like, oh, you can get them printed, blah, 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 or use the app and get them on your Passbook. And I was like, oh, I love you so much. So Ticketmaster for iOS, I think Android was there. You then sign in with your account. It then shows you what you've bought. And then for this game that I'm going to, you can then find it, see the tickets, right, which you have on your thing. You can actually check in with the app. They can scan the app as well, or you can say...
Has the QR code?
Yeah, it has a QR code on it that you can say, you right there, boom,
right.
QR code. Or you can say, boom, add to Passbook. And adding to Passbook is exactly where I did. And then now it's my Passbook, and now I'm happy. So Ticketmaster for iOS, really nice. I have a bunch of other picks.
Let me tell you why I don't
All right,
like
now
that
tell me why you don't like it.
Because Ticketmaster for iOS, and here's why everyone should go download Ticketmaster for iOS. We're kind of letting the cat out of the bag here. There's like a back door when you try and buy.
Oh, when you don't have to tell people about this back door.
Well, they're gonna be You're just told them about the app. They're gonna be downloading it. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Oh my God, they would have downloaded this, but you're not telling them something that I never would have even told them about. So anyway,
here's the backdoor secret.
All right.
For some apparent reason, when you're trying to get tickets to a very, very popular event, like a concert that's extremely popular, Taylor Swift, for example, Ticketmaster seems to, or it would appear to, set aside a certain amount of tickets that only get sold through the mobile device. Meaning, if you go on Ticketmaster.com and try and buy the tickets, it'll be like, it's sold out. Or wait 15 minutes in a queue, and then you get there and it's like, you can't buy the tickets you want, or whatever. Right. But if you try it on the mobile, you just get them right away. It's kind of amazing.
So it's the same time. So they say 10 o'clock on Sunday they're available. You still have to go.
do it at that moment, but you're like sort of backdooring your way in through the mobile.
So your theory is they set aside a certain set that are available
That
only on
you're
mobile.
not going through the same sort of channel, if you will, to get.
Do you think it's seats that no one could buy somewhere else, or do you think that's just easier to get through because
it's
there's less
just
congestion?
easier to get through because of the congestion?
Okay.
I don't feel like they're setting specific seats aside to say these are only sold on the mobile. I just feel like the congestion to actually get through the tons of people trying to get to the tickets. Hey, give it a whirl. It's worked for me in the past.
Nice.
And
I like it.
Whatever, go for it.
Other things that have worked for me in the past are following you at Just
Yeah,
Elstein.
that does work.
Following me at
Works.
Jason M. Atwood. Following Arkus at Arkus Inc. We're on the Facebook, Arkus Inc. We're in the Dreamforce portal. We're in the Success Community portal, which is pretty cool, when the new one there. So we'll be keeping up with both. We're on LinkedIn. We're in Google+. Please go to iTunes and subscribe via iTunes and leave a review there if you can. And then we'll be back next week with another. Are we going to be back next week? I think in a couple weeks we're going to have a trouble because I'm going to be away. So we might have to do doubles or...
Maybe we'll record one in advance. I mean, we'll definitely be back next week. I don't see a reason why not.
I think for the next 2 weeks we're good. I think it's the week after that. It might be a little tough.
Maybe
But
we'll
all
record
right.
one in advance. Maybe we'll skip a week in August. You know, people are on vacation. They can.
Now we have that.
People are on vacation. They want their CloudFocus weekly.
Right. We have to do a double.
If you're sitting
double
on
week.
the beach, you want your CloudFocus
do a
weekly.
double week.
We can do a double. Just
Maybe it's time to do like an all picks episode or something fun.
or something fun.
Or something fun. All right. Well, we'll be back definitely next week. And until then, as always, enjoy those cloudy days.